Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a way to start our Mardi Gras open mic at the cafe. Thank you, Jeff. That was awesome. He was hidden. I couldn't even see him. Everybody, stay with me now. Dobre večer. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to the cafe. Hello, everybody. Hi. It's great to see everybody. Thank you to our wonderful host, Bobby. Oh, and he's giving me a beer so I can toast to him. Thank you very much. Jenene Ave, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jenene Ave. Thank you so much for being here. I have to actually have my drink. I haven't had a chance to do it. I'm going to try to keep things short and sweet, but I've got a stack of beads here. So that if anybody happens to have anything about New Orleans, Mardi Gras or something, you can get some beads. Look at this whole stack of beads here. Check this out, man. I've got it here. It's serious. And what's really relevant about that is because you go to parades and you usually get beads. I read this at the same establishment many years ago, but that was back when we were at Cafe Aloha, so I'm going to try to read this because I doubt anybody knows that this is called the one at Mardi Gras. I was at Mardi Gras last weekend and I got a bunch of beads from strangers. No, I didn't lift my shirt for them. And a friend of mine had a balcony on Bourbon Street, and so we were on it on Friday night, and the swarms of people stretched for over a mile. It was a mob. No one could walk, and the crowd just kind of carried them along. And so all these men expected women to get naked for them for beads, and from my balcony I would see every few minutes a series of flash pops coupled with a roar from the crowd, and I knew a woman lifted her shirt from the screaming masses. I refused, however, to strip for drunk strangers when I knew they expected me to, being on a balcony and all. So men would look up at me and stretch out their arms, looking up inquisitively as if to ask either to give them some beads or for me to strip. And since I wasn't stripping and I had plenty of beads, I decided to turn the tables and see if men would accept the same conditions they expected of these women. When they looked up at me for something, I would say, "Drop your pants!" And they would look at me confused, because the women are the ones that are supposed to be doing the stripping. But in general, I got two responses from the men. Either they would look at me like I was crazy and walk away, or they would shrug their shoulders as if to say, "Okay," and then they would just start unzipping their pants. Then they would make a gesture to turn around as if to ask, "Do you want to see my butt?" And they would yell, "The front!" And then they would just turn back around with their pants and their underwear around their knees, and they'd start moving their hips, which I never asked for, by the way. So over the course of the evening, I managed to get at least 20 men to strip like this for me, and I was amazed that there was this society, this microcosm of society that allowed this kind of debauchery in the streets, this sort of prostitution for plastic beads form of capitalism. So I was reveling in this bizarre annual ritual when this man, average to everyone else, wearing a gray shirt and minding his own business, decided to look up at me. So I asked him to drop his pants, and instead of disgustedly looking away or willingly obliging, he crossed both arms in front of his chest and looked up at me as if to ask, "You want me to do what? You naughty, naughty girl." And he smiled and looked up at me, and it occurred to me that I finally found someone in this massive crowd that thinks the way I do. Now, New Orleans has a population, from what I hear, of about 1 million, but during Mardi Gras there are like 9 or 10 million people there, and all I could think was that of all of these people here, I finally found someone who wouldn't blindly do what I asked, but at the same time wouldn't think I was crazy for asking. Of course, as I looked at him, I happened to think that he was stunning, by far the best looking guy I'd ever seen that entire night. He looked like he had style, he was self-confident, but then again I was nearsighted and was on a balcony drunk at Mardi Gras. So we hit an impasse when he wouldn't strip and neither would I, so his attention, of course, was eventually diverted to other balconies. But I noticed that for the next half hour, he never actually left from underneath my balcony. And every once in a while he would turn around and look up at me. Oh boy, I was thinking the entire time, I know this is no way to start a relationship. Hell, I'm sure this guy was nowhere near me, and I haven't even had a real actual conversation with him, but he's damn near perfect. And all that time we were screaming and partying at Mardi Gras, and he would still occasionally turn around and make sure I was still there. And finally, he looked at me, signaling that he had to move on with some of his friends, so I held up my index finger to make him wait, and then I threw a bunch of beads at him. Part of me threw them because he was a good sport, putting up with my taunting and still not giving in. But a part of me threw those beads because I saw in him that strong sense of values and that sense of self-worth, that sheer love of life, the desire to be alive that I possessed all along and was always looking for in someone else. Wow. Somebody I'd never met before in Mardi Gras. Yeah, I know. Good times, good times. I did a show in December, The Stories of Women, and in the show I had two voices doing it, and I said if anybody could do this voice, because I think it nice to be done in two voices, because it sounds awesome. Jenene would be perfect for it. This is a poem called Coslow's.
I am back at my old college hangout.
I am back at my old college hangout.
Years later.
Years later.
Sharing some beers with an old friend.
Sharing some beers with an old friend.
Then I remember being there with a friend who used to work there.
Then I remember being there with a friend who used to work there.
She told me about the women's bathroom.
She told me about the women's bathroom.
In all my years, I had never been there.
In all my years, I had never been there.
She said, women write on the wall at the left of the stall. Women write that they've been raped.
She said that women write on the wall at the left of the stall. Women write that they've been raped.
They name names.
They name names.
There were arrows pointing to other women's messages saying, I've heard this before.
There were arrows pointing to other women's messages saying, I've heard this before.
First names, last names.
First names, last names.
When she told me of this years ago, I walked in, read the names, and wrote down one of my own.
When she told me of this years ago, I walked in, read the names, and wrote down one of my own.
I forgot about that wall until now, and I am back just yards away from the bathroom door.
I forgot about that wall until now, and now I am back just yards away from the bathroom door.
I get up, walk, open the door, years later.
I get up, walk, open the door, years later.
All the names are still there.
All the names are still there.
Jake,
Jake,
Jay,
Jay,
Josh,
Josh,
Larry,
Larry,
Matt,
Matt,
Scott,
Scott.
I can even still see my own writing. It didn't take long to find it.
I can still see my own writing. It didn't take long to find it. Because it was solo, we should do a slow, and I said I can't because it's Mardi Gras, and we're supposed to be festive until midnight, because it will then be Ash Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. So, off the top of our heads, we thought we'd come up with a place in hell. There is a place for me and my friends. We all will go with a bit more time and a few more gentler words. And looking back, I won't forgive, and I never will, I never will, I never will. All that we hope is when we go, our skin and our blood and our bones, they don't get in your way, making you ill the way they did when we lived. Oh, there is a place in hell reserved for me and my friends. And if ever I just wanted to cry, then I will, so I can, and I will. Oh, there is a place in hell reserved for me and my friends. And if ever I just wanted to cry, then I will, so I can, so I will. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for a phenomenal